Ladies and gentlemen, does it make any sense to give lists of American names to the Tban? We'll call them the Tban just for the algorithm. Does it make any sense at all to give the Tban, who could give those lists of names to, we'll just say, iState and Alpha Quarterly? Soon I'll be communicating in charades. Because Democrats or Democratic senators love to complain. And they love to complain to social media companies. And debate and discussion and critical thinking skills are the greatest adversaries of wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats who blame everything under the sun on Trump, yet conveniently ignore the absolute catastrophe taking place under Biden. I shouldn't say they ignore it, but they cared more about the Helsinki conference with Trump and Putin and how that was Pearl Harbor. But this, it's Trump's fault, which it isn't. Had Biden simply abided by the Doha Agreement, the negotiated deal, to get us out by May 1st, he would have had all of January, after January 20th, his inauguration, February, March, April. He could have simply removed Americans in that time frame, not a haphazard, rushed, complete debacle with well over 169 people, Afghans, in addition to 13 Americans, at least 169 Afghans, in addition to 13 Americans who lost their lives because of Biden spiting Trump. There was no reason to spite Trump, and had you simply engaged in a normal evacuation, maybe numerous airfields, not just one, maybe starting in January, not a rushed, chaotic process, none of this would have happened. But here, Politico, U.S. officials provided Tban with names of Americans, Afghan allies to evacuate. The White House contends that limited information sharing with the Tban is saving lives. Critics argue it's putting Afghan allies in harm's way. So this couldn't be further from the truth. It's not saving lives. What they did was, because it was such a chaotic, exercise in mayhem, what they did was they had no way of vetting people within a short time period or finding out if people had legitimate papers or were on a list. Imagine, this is, they think this evacuation is like a nightclub where you could tell the bouncer, oh, I'm on the list. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I will have a live stream tonight at around 7 p.m. Pacific. Be here. Hit subscribe if you want to support the channel. The super thanks is below right next to the like and the share buttons. And my Patreon is below within the pinned comment. And if you want to read my latest opinion piece in the Jerusalem Post, it's in the pinned comment. Go ahead and share it if you enjoy it. U.S. officials in Kabul gave the Tban a list of names of American citizens, green card holders, and Afghan allies to grant entry into the militant-controlled outer perimeter of the city's airport. Why was there a militant-controlled outer perimeter? Why? I want Americans out of that country, Iraq, and other places where these are theaters of war. I think the atrocity the other day should prove to everybody who says, well, it's Germany and Japan. Just like Germany and Japan, I mean, there wasn't a casualty for a year, so why did he remove Americans? Why did Trump remove Americans? It's like, well, you don't use American soldiers as chess pieces. And we see what happened yesterday. You put them in harm's way. You put, hundreds of, thousands of people in harm's way because you didn't abide by a negotiated deal, and then you use the Tban to you give them a list of names of American citizens and green card holders and Afghan allies. How do you know that they didn't tacitly approve the atrocity the other day committed by either iState or Alpha Quarterly or them? Yesterday this was an atrocity, an absolute. Notice how you don't find the left talking about war crimes now. Interesting, okay? Interesting how you don't find that. There's never a cry from the left or the hammer and sickle, wonderful, morally superior, like left-leaning Twitter profiles about crimes against humanity or atrocities committed by these types of groups. But this is a Politico article. U.S. officials in Kabul gave the Tban a list of names of American citizens, green card holders, and Afghan allies to grant entry into the militant-controlled outer perimeter of the city's airport, a choice that prompted outrage behind the scenes from lawmakers and military officials. The move, detailed by Politico by 3 U.S. It was designed to expedite the evacuation of tens of thousands of people. You didn't have to expedite anything had you simply abided by Trump's negotiated deal. You had, even if you didn't like it, you had January, February, March, and April. Okay? You didn't give, they acknowledged the timeline. And I explained in my segment prior to this one, I don't think people got notified on it, but hopefully people get notified on this segment. But go ahead and share this segment because it's important. I explained in the last video that there was a deal that Biden, within his own speech in April, acknowledged. He acknowledged the speech in April. Okay, or he acknowledged the Doha Agreement in April, stating that, there was a May 1st timeline to leave, so we're going to start on May 1st. We're going to start leaving on May 1st. Does that make any sense at all? Does it also make sense to remove, most of the military and then have the evacuation? Shouldn't you have the evacuation with American soldiers there, most of them there that were there, to ensure that the adversaries don't have the initiative within that region, or maybe utilize numerous air bases, not just one? So, this happened because the smartest people in the room, yet again, were wrong. Biden voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld to get us in there. Biden voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld to get us in there. And Trump is right. Trump is right to completely eviscerate Biden. This guy, Trump is 100% right. Because you see what happens when a person who never made Iowa, he never, ever got close to getting Iowa in any primary. And then suddenly he's the most popular. And of course, everything was fair and neutral and wonderful. I'm not saying there were any problems. But he's the most popular candidate of all time. Right? He's eloquent. He doesn't go off into these demonic tangents, slurring his speech. He has a long list of wonderful foreign policy achievements, from WMD, voting alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, to Libya, to now this, to opposing the signature achievement of President Obama's administration. And so we have a situation where this president should resign. I'd rather have Vice President Kamala Harris. I'd rather have anyone than Biden. I'd much rather have Trump. because we didn't have this with Trump. Trump's worst day is nothing compared to this. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Be here at around 7 p.m. for the